Hello everyone, I'm here to do the reading for May's new moon on the April 4th. That will be tomorrow from today. And yeah, this is going to be a general reading for the collective. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's more about understanding what are the energies that we are working with and what are the stories that can resonate with some of us, not with everybody. If you do find your way to this video, it is possible that there are some messages here for you, but don't just take it for granted. Alright, so let's see what we have for this new moon. We have a Six of Wands. So we all know that the new moon is a time for reflection, is a time to set up new intentions. Ooh la la, the Tower. Alright, okay. The Magician. Alright, one more card. So I'm pulling up usually 4 cards. Let's see what's the underlying energy. And then I put out clarifiers and then we talk about them. But yeah, wow. It's supposed to be gentle. A really, really gentle new moon. So I'm actually curious what's this Tower here. But yeah, we'll talk through this. New moon in Taurus. It's a very, very nurturing and gentle energy. And after this April, that have been quite intense for many of us. It is like very, very welcome. Alright. We have here Judgment. Alright, and bottom of the deck we have the Ten of Wands as the underlying energy, as our theme. Alright, so now let's see what's the duality here. There's always a duality of two energies working together. There's always a bright side and a dark side of everything. So now let's see, let's clarify these cards. Hope you guys are well. Alright, something came out here. So we have the Seven of Swords with the Six of Wands. Alright. What else do we have? Let's clarify the Tower. What is this Tower about? Alright, so Four of Pentacles. What do we have for the Magician? The Page of Pentacles. Alright. And one more card. What do we have for the Judgment, please? One more card, please. What's this Judgment about? I'm just gonna pull it. Justice, oh mine. Seeing these two together. Alright, and bottom of the deck we have the Queen of Swords to go along with the Ten of Wands. So, let's talk first about the Ten of Wands with the Queen of Swords, because that's the underlying energy. This is the theme of this reading. And for those of you that are watching, and the Ten of Wands is usually, it's an end of a cycle. Yes, it's an end of some spiritual cycle that you've been going through. And I think it comes, coming with the Queen of Swords, it has to do a lot with mental clarity. It has to do a lot with communication and communication of boundaries, most likely. And sometimes takes a long time, and we get to this point of being completely overwhelmed before we realize what our boundaries even are. Like, Boundaries are not a given, and it's not like we all have the same boundaries. It's not something that we need to learn in school. Of course, there are some basic ones that we all need to sort of follow, like don't touch random people, don't, I don't know, depends also on the culture and everything. But most of the time we have to go inwards and kind of go through this spiritual journey of our own in order to understand what our boundaries really are, and what is it that we are okay with, what is it that we're not okay with. Many times we're brainwashed by society that we need to expect certain things from life and people, and then by going through this we realize that we are somehow not doing well with that, not really happy, you know. But going inwards and having like this inner journey helps us understand and have this mental clarity of what is it that I really want from life, what is it that how much can I actually put into the contact with other people, and how do I want to show up. And the Queen of Swords shows up very like truthfully, very, very honestly, and she's very, very aware of what her boundaries are, and she has absolutely no fear in communicating them. She's a master. She knows how to communicate. That's her thing. She's a good counselor and a therapist, and she understands everything. She understands the human nature. She understands her own nature, and she's able to communicate all that. And that's because she's been through the journey. She's been through the journey. She's been through everything. She understood that she's been to this point many times in order to learn her own boundaries, and now she doesn't need to anymore, because now she has the intuition. She understands much better what her boundaries are and what is it that she really needs. So many times when we're feeling like maybe overwhelmed, or maybe like we start being reactive to people around us, before we explode we start realizing like, oh wait, maybe there are some boundaries here that need to be put and I wasn't aware of it. And let's try to do that rather than react and explode and or take too much upon ourselves and so on and so on. We are the one regulating this. Okay, so let's go through this. We have the Six of Wands with the Seven of Swords. Well, that's an interesting combination. The Six of Wands, it's all about, okay, it's the card of victory and a celebration of victory of some sort. But coming with the Seven of Swords, I think it has to do with our minds are trying to somehow not recognize this. Because many times like this Six of Wands is about recognition, about finding recognition from other people, but also from ourselves. And the Seven of Swords is many times about self-sabotage and about about self-deceit. Like somehow we're deceiving ourselves with something. And in this case, I think it has to do with not really recognizing our journey, not really recognizing our merits in our journey, and not really recognizing our progress. And it may very well be with the people around us as well. Like people may be going through their own journey, and instead of seeing their progress, we're seeing their faults. Sometimes it's pretty much how we get to this point, you know, when we're not recognizing things, we can't really see the progress, so we just feel the weight of everything. And this can easily bring this Tower about. And the Tower coming with the Four of Pentacles, it shows me that we're probably clinging on to something, and in this case has to do with like some ideas and some mental patterns that are kind of deceiving us. So I think we're clinging to some patterns, and this needs to kind of fall apart. And if we're not able to let go of whatever it is that we're clinging, these mental patterns that aren't necessarily in our service, well, then the Tower comes in. And whether we want it or not, we're gonna have to let this go. Look at this guy, like, he's so clingy. He's holding these pentacles like like his life depends on it, you know. And it's okay to be protective at times. It's okay to close down a little bit and protect what we have. But if we exaggerate in this direction, and we're not flexible enough, then yeah, it's just not going to work, you know. And life has a way to show us that. This Tower, though, does not seem to be very destructive, or it seems like, to be honest, I think it's very welcomed, because these patterns are holding us back, right? These patterns of like self-deceit, it's what really holds us back from our progress right now. And if we're not able to see it, well, we're gonna have to see it one way or another. And that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, of course, because we are in this like really protective mode and very, very clingy to certain defense mechanisms. And it will feel a little bit vulnerable, and it will feel maybe a little bit scary. But right afterwards, we have the Magician and the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is all about, like, you know, real growth. And this is a very young energy, but this is someone who's just discovering what is it that is important, what's valuable. And coming with the Magician, well, the Magician knows exactly what's valuable, and he has on the table pretty much everything. He has all the suits on the table, the cups, the pentacles, the swords, and he's holding the wand to the sky and his other hand to the earth. He knows that as above, so below, and he's gone inside and he's gone outside, and he understands the flow of things. And coming with the Page of Pentacles, I feel like this is a new understanding. This is a new message that we're getting after this a little bit uncomfortable moment where we realize that we've been deceiving ourselves with something. And I think it has to do a lot with our value, right? Because, like, the thing is that most of the time when we feel like we're not certain about our own journey, our own merits, our own progress, and when we're judging ourselves and beating ourselves up, we are the one holding ourselves back. We are the one deceiving ourselves, to be honest. And when we start realizing that, once we actually focus more on being grateful for the progress that we've done already, and for the work that we've put in, and for the progress, because there's always some sort of progress, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Feels more like going in circles. There's not really circles, those are spirals, and we're going deeper and deeper every time, you know. And yeah, it's an end of a cycle, and it may feel quite weird but we're learning so much from this. We're learning how to let go of certain patterns, and so we're learning that if we don't let go of them, we're gonna be forced to, one way or another. But it brings us to this wonderful place of the Magician with the Page of Pentacles, which is a deep understanding of how the world works. How this is the Magician. It's it's about the physical world. It's about the first manifestation. And it comes also with the Page of Pentacles, which is also about the physical world, about this 3D reality we all interact in. And I think that there is a real change coming through. And that comes from realizing our own value, realizing that we had denied ourselves the recognition. And once I give myself the recognition that I need, I don't need it from anyone else. And then we have the judgment of the justice. And I think in this case, well, of course it shows like a lot of like, you can call it divine guidance or protection and divine timing. But it's also like understanding this whole inner journey of self-judgment. We are, without exception, judging ourselves way too harsh, because this is how we are brought about. This is how we are being educated to. This is what society teaches us. This is what our parents most of the time teach us. And we judge ourselves according to values that we're not really sure if they really apply to us most of the times, because we don't really understand what is it that we are really up to, what is it that we really want to invest in terms of energy and emotions and everything else, and time. So having this judgment and justice coming together right after the Magician and this Page of Pentacles tells me that we get to understand this. We get to understand this whole point of what is just and what is it that we judge, and how to get over this self-judgment. How is it that we can relate to ourselves? Judgment card has to do a lot with forgiveness and justice. Justice like sounds pretty harsh, right? Like you think like, okay, it's gonna be some karmic, somebody will be punished for their mistakes or something like that. But justice is not really about punishment. It's more about understanding and recognition. Again, it goes back to recognition. And look at things for what they are. This is what this is all about. Just look at the things for what they are, and the path that actually does bring the fruits is the path of loving kindness and forgiveness in the end. This is how we relieve ourselves. This is how we let go of things from the past that have been hurting us, things of the past in which we're that shaped us in a way that we are still hurting ourselves. And by being able to forgive those that hurt us, by being able to forgive ourselves for the way we've hurt ourselves and for the way we've maybe hurt others, for not knowing better, it's what's going to free us. And yeah, I think like there's a lot of talk about forgiveness, but it is important to underline the fact that forgiveness does not mean to condone what other people have done. The wrong stuff that people can do, or the horrible stuff that maybe had been done to us, does not mean to let that person off the hook or not apply justice to it. No, it means to really not allow that to keep hurting me. Whatever it is that somebody had done to me, by forgiving them, I release myself, not them. So I think that, to be honest, in this case, I think it has to do a lot with self-forgiveness. It has to do a lot with seeing things for what they are, recognize the patterns that work against us without judgment, without like judging it harshly, but rather having compassion for ourselves and having this coming from this place of forgiveness, yeah. And then like we kind of unburden ourselves, and we understand better like how can we align better with ourselves. The queens are always ruled by the drive of the heart. So this Queen of Swords, yeah, her tools are communication, her tools are like clear-mindedness, but she will do this in the service of the heart. And this is something that we all gotta keep in mind from time to time, because many times we can get lost in the ego, many times we can get lost into this like overburden that we somehow end up carrying because we don't really understand how much we can carry. But it is important to keep in mind that everything that we do has to come from a place of love. And whenever other feelings motivate our actions, then we're out of alignment somehow. I hope that makes sense to you. It is a beautiful reading, and it does look like a lot of insight coming through and a lot of realization and transformation. So I hope it's a gentle one, and I hope that you're going to enjoy this new moon energy. And yes, and I wish you the best. Please do check out the zodiac signs videos that I've done for the month of May. And yeah, if you do resonate, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.